There we go. We are live. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Friday Night Likes, the coronavirus edition here on a Sunday. It is messing up everything. We have Wally, Alex, Wayne, and John here this afternoon. They're going to be competing. Well, Wally's not, but they're going to be competing for likes. But let me go around and let everybody introduce themselves. Who are you? Where are you? What are you drinking? And how can we reach you? Wally.
I'm Wally, King of Prussia, and I'm drinking Yingling Lager, the local lager, and I'll be keeping score. So on my complicated scoring system. Good luck, everybody.
Thanks, Wally. Did you get all that work done with your son earlier?
Oh my God, I made the quickest trip back from downtown Philadelphia in ever. No traffic at all. It was awesome. So one benefit from yeah.
Wally was texting me saying he may not be able to make it today. He's like, I don't know how traffic is going to be. Then he got out there and realized it was a zombie apocalypse and made it back in record time.
Wally.
Wally, I'm going to boot you. We'll see you at halftime. Wayne, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, mate. Since Wally obviously started with this regal title, the King of Prussia, I know it's where he's from, but it sounds like he's regal. My name's Wayne. I'm the Prince of Podcasting. And I am the co-host of West Ham is Why We Drink and sometimes guest on American Hammers TV. And I am drinking something quite disgusting because I'm down to my last drinks of alcohol. I'm drinking gin and watermelon juice.
That is quite the combination.
It's disgusting, but it's alcoholic, so I don't give a crap.
And that's not like one of those penalty shot out things that you guys do. You're choosing that of your own free will.
I'm choosing of my own free will. You know what? That did you see the live minnow that I did?
No, I didn't.
I did a live minnow. I thought that minnows. I got confused for some reason. I thought I was going to be doing a live minnow, and I thought for some reason it was a tadpole. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this thing. That's no problem. Well, the mate comes into the pub with a bag full of fucking minnows. They're like this long. They're this bloody long, and they're flipping around. They put it in the glass. Go to our YouTube channel and look at it because it's absolutely quite repulsive. And I had to cover the glass up for a little while, stop the minnow from coming out, and it actually died. So I didn't do it live; it was dead. But it went drunkly.
Far too many inappropriate jokes that I won't get into. John.
I'm John, known as JP. You've probably seen me on quite a few occasions, obviously just for JP WHU TV, my own YouTube channel. Been on here quite a few times as well now. I think it's about 3 or 4, I think now. Maybe this might be the 5th, I can't remember. You can reach me on YouTube at JP WHU TV, Twitter, everywhere basically with the same username, really. And Essex as well, for that matter, for those who are going to ask where my location.
Good man. It's good to have you on, John. Thank you for joining us today.
Does that tickle, John? JP, does that tickle?
Oh, easy, Tiger. Get back to your West London drink.
Here.
He's still giving him each other some
not down there.
Alex.
Come on to the family show. Not down there.
I hope John doesn't poke upwards because I might get a little excited.
Hang on, got you as well. Here you go, Alex. All right, mate.
Yeah.
I'm wearing rubber gloves. Don't worry, it won't catch anything.
I'm watching the viewership drop as with every swipe of your wrist, Wayne. Alex.
Apparently, somebody else is rising. My name is Alex with American Hammers TV. Come on a lot, contribute a lot, and my Twitter is MS Hammers. So I'm in the great state of Mississippi in the United States. So yeah. Looking to win.
Alex, you had me worried there, mate, because normally when someone says MS, it normally means Microsoft. So, I was quite worried about that for a second. Microsoft.
No. What I'm drinking is, to get the immunity up.
Oh.
Or it could be Bloody Mary. Who knows?
It's a bloody big Bloody Mary. It's about right for somebody from Mississippi.
Good stuff. Well, my name is John. I'm your host. I'm attempting to grow a really crap beard while I have to work from home because there's no other time to do it. So it's not looking too good, but we'll see how that fills out, if any. I'm a bit patchy. This is Friday Night Likes. These guys are going to get asked a bunch of questions about West Ham, and they will give me their responses. If they have good responses, they will get a thumbs up. Sometimes they get a thumbs down, depending on what's going on. Wayne has been given thumbs up and down all morning. It seems like over here to John, so I've got to be a bit careful there. But we'll have a bunch of questions, and you, the fans, also get to vote on who the winner is at the end. And our last 2 rounds have actually been decided by the fans. So stick around, see who you think is giving the best answers, and with that, we will get underway. So obviously, coronavirus is all the news because there's no football and really no live sport on TV. What classic non-final West Ham match should ESPN or Sky Sports or whoever your local subscriber, what classic non-final West Ham match should they replay and why? Alex, I'll start with you.
Last match at Upton Park.
Ooh.
I mean, hands down, no question. Just go ahead and just get everybody off the screen. Give me the points. Let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. Let's quit the show now.
Yeah, I really agree. I think so. And really what I wanted to say was I think the entire season would be cool. I think if they would just do it for, West Ham, anything, but it just to give that emotional connection to that season, it would probably be the best thing. And when I say emotional connection, you really get wrapped up in the team and what's going on undercurrent of stories. I think just throwing out a game on TV doesn't really get the same effect. You got to be emotionally invested in it. And how much more emotionally invested could anybody be in than that last match?
That's a great answer. JP.
Oh, it's difficult to top that, to be honest with you, John. It really, really is. But for me, it has to be beating Spurs at Wembley in the League Cup. Losing at half-time and coming back and absolutely smashing them. Was it 3-2, if I remember correctly? It was just, that is West Ham in an absolute 90 minutes. Losing, we were absolutely terrible in that first half. And then Bilic just motivated, and Christ knows what him and Dixie said to him, Christ almighty. But they went out and absolutely smashed it. And we got through to the next round, but unfortunately lost straight afterwards. But
of course we did. Yeah, of course we lost straight after. Wayne.
I've got two choices. One was my last match at watching West Ham over in England, which was back in 2010. That's how long it's been since I've been home. And I've got bollocks. I've got to decide which one here. Okay, I'm going to tell you the one I'm not choosing first, which is basically the match in 2015 where Adrian took his gloves off at the end and scored the penalty, and we won. Was it 9-8 on penalties? That was the one I didn't choose. Okay, the one I'm going to have to choose is 2010. And it was against the dreaded Manchester Scum United. It was a game where an American scored a brace, Phil Spector. Okay. Yeah. And Carlton Cole scored the other brace, which so it's good. It was important to me because number one, it was like I knew it was going to be my last match for a long time, but the weather was freaking terrible. It snowed. They brought the orange ball out. It was absolutely freaking awful. And then, in addition to them bringing the orange ball out, it just was a brilliant match. It really was a brilliant match. So I'm going to go with that.
That's a good choice and probably underrated because Jonathan Spector had, he was the most utility
I said
player.
Phil Spector, didn't I? Blimey. So you should give me a thumbs up just for saying Phil Spector, mate, because you didn't know he played for West Ham, did you? You thought he just disappeared.
He was probably the most utility player I've ever seen at West Ham. They used him everywhere. He wasn't brilliant at any one position, but he covered a lot of ground and put a shift in. And that game was a bit of redemption for him, I feel like.
It was. He used to play for United.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was his old club as well.
So, and plus that year, Manchester United was undefeated that year, and nobody reckoned that we were going to beat them. Nobody at all. And I think we finished this. What?
Wayne, did you? Sorry, mate, just to interject, but as you remember, because I was there for that game, and that was that was one of the coldest nights in the world.
It was terrible.
Man United had more first-team players out than we did that night.
Remember. They did, but I didn't gloss over. I glossed over that part because I figured I hate United, and anything that's going to make us look better than the other United is good in my book. So, because anytime, I know it's vogue to say, I love watching Tottenham lose or I love watching Millwall lose. For me, it's always been about beating United because they've just been such a glory team for so long, with so many glory hunting fans and the fans in London that are Manchester United fans, that beating them was just, it was pure joy, really was pure joy.
So staying on that theme, what classic non-football related sports event should one of these channels replay and why? And JP, I'll start with you first.
I'd say I was thinking about this. I was thinking the Formula One, when more specifically the classic one when Damien Hill won it that year. That was at 94, I think it was 93, 94. I remember being at school for that. No comment, Wayne. I know how old you are, son. But yeah, that was I was before I was a West Ham supporter. I was heavily into Formula One, and that was for me. That was one of the last best classic races that season. It was absolutely incredible. He smashed it big time, and it's something that's always stayed with me.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the backstory behind all that was too. He'd been fighting with Schumacher for the last 2 seasons or 3 seasons, and it never looked like he was ever going to come out on top, did it?
That's it. Yeah, 100%. And also likewise, David Coulthard, a couple of seasons later as well, for that matter, he was again fighting with him on it. But yes, that's what you're absolutely right, John. I should have included that was part of the reason, but there's more personal things for me behind for that. But yes, from a sports level, it was like Man United and Man City going together the entire time, and then all of a sudden, he just absolutely blistered them straight out the park, and it was just one of the best Formula One seasons I can ever remember.
Yeah, I remember that one well. I used to watch a lot of Formula One until I moved to the States, and it just got harder and harder to do. But I think they're doing more of it over here. Wayne, what about you? What non-football sporting event would you have on the telly?
You know, up until JP just said something, I couldn't even think for the life of me what it was that I wanted other than football, to be quite frank. And then all of a sudden it hit me. Any one of the Stanley Cup finals from the early 70s where the Philadelphia Flyers actually won, like 74, 75, I think it was 76 or 77. I lived up in South Jersey at that time, and my mum was dating Reggie Leach, who was the enforcer for the Flyers. So I got to go to just about every bloody game up there. And that was the closest thing I found to like an English football atmosphere going along to those matches, because the fans were they were riotous. They were like the American version of West Ham fans up in Philly. They were just like, they didn't give a shit about anyone. They didn't care if everybody hated them. And they just, I mean, we had tickets right there on the glass, and we were banging on the glass. And Reggie actually scored a goal in that. And I remember he came over to our section, we were on the glass, and he banged at us. And so for me, it really touches. So any of those finals, that was back when ice hockey was really ice hockey, where people, threw the gloves off and fought on the ice, as opposed to these days where it's just pretty skating and skills.
You're buttering up the home crowd over here with me and Wally both in the Philadelphia area, so there's no way you couldn't get a thumbs up on that one.
Yeah, it was just that was a brilliant team from back in the early 70s. With
the Broad Street Bullies, Wayne?
Yeah, they sure were. But Bobby Clark, the captain, Gary Dornhofer, Reggie Leach, Bernie Perront in goal. It was just that's my second most passionately supported team in my book.
They still talk about them a lot around here. I've often said that Philly is very similar to West Ham.
It is.
It's a very working class, kind of blue collar, get on with it kind of town.
Thumbs up for the Yobods.
Yeah. Alex.
Man, that's hard to top. That's good stuff. I was going to say WrestleMania 3.
Yeah, go on then. You can have one. Go on.
What people don't understand is that was probably one of the biggest indoor matches of all time. Was Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, and it was in the Silverdome, if I'm not mistaken. And it was really it was kind of like the changing of the guard, like Andre the Giant kind of losing to Hulk Hogan, kind of catapulted, Hulk Hogan and WrestleMania and all that stuff to really it became very mainstream, and it's just fascinating to see how those WrestleManias have evolved over time. But that would be the one that really took Hulkamania to a whole nother level. And then next thing you know, you've got The Rock, and you've got the marketing, and it really kind of made it a huge deal. So. And I didn't get to watch it. I didn't. No, the truth is, I didn't get to watch that. I was at the age that I had to be in bed at a certain time. We didn't have, couldn't do pay-per-view or whatever, and I had to find out who won on the George Michael Sports Machine at like 10 o'clock at night. Okay, so I never got to watch it. So, a little selfishly, but yeah, what you gonna do, brother? That's all I got.
That's a great point. I mean, as much as some people may make fun of wrestling, it's definitely in the social consciousness. It's huge worldwide. It's absolutely massive. So I take your point well, Alex, and good work on that one. Now, finally, if all major sport was cancelled for the rest of 2020, what do you think you personally would do with all that extra time? Wayne, I'll start with you.
Oh God.
Keep it clean.
Building up his
Keep
immunity.
Keep it clean.
clean. Well done. You know what? I think I would like to teach my daughter about Shakespeare.
All right.
Yeah, she's home right now from school. She's 8 years of age. She loves ballet. She loves ballet, and she loves ballet because basically I got her into it. I don't love ballet. I just wanted her to do something performance-wise. But I was a big actor like back in my early days, and I love reading the works of Shakespeare. I'd love to sit down with her and just teach her the joy of reading Shakespeare out loud and see if she's got any acting chops and just work with her to enjoy time with my daughter. That's really
Beautiful family sentiment there, Wayne. Which any particular story in particular with
The
Shakespeare?
Tempest.
Tempest.
Oh,
JP, which one? Which one are you picking, JP?
What for?
If it was Shakespeare, yeah.
I'd have to say probably. Oh God, that really put me on the spot. Wasn't expecting that, and especially from the uncultured Wayne as well, for that matter. So
I've got a lot of hidden secrets.
I'd probably say Taming of the Shrew or Midsummer Night's Dream. Those two are my absolute favourites.
Alex?
Dude, from Mississippi. Come on, man. Jesus Christ. Literature? I haven't read a book
This is a
since
very
I've never
highbrow
read a book.
version,
I've read
sir.
the Cliff Notes all through high school.
That'll work.
Really? Jesus Christ.
For our
Come on,
UK
man.
viewers, Mississippi regularly comes 50th out of 50 states in high school education.
Came in good on this question.
Just propping up the rest of the country. We appreciate you, Alex. JP, if all major sport was cancelled, what would you do with all the extra time?
I probably would go insane.
What do you mean
but-
go?
I mean, I've been working from home for a week, and I'm already halfway there already. It's bloody awful. But seriously, I would probably reactivate my second channel on YouTube and get my guitars out and start singing songs to keep people entertained, because a lot of guys are enjoying the songs that I've been singing on my usual one. So I could probably do that, but because at the end of the day, if there's all sports going to be cancelled, there's not much more we're going to be able to do than we are at the minute. But yeah, something like that really, or start doing photography again. It's difficult, but I'd probably say reactivate my old channel.
Well, what were you singing? Are you covers or is it your own stuff?
Well, some of the songs that I did for my main channel, WHU TV, I did 5 songs of the West Ham top 5 West Ham songs, sung myself. But I'd probably revisit my old band songs and do a few covers in there as well. It's been a long time since I've done that. A long time.
Good stuff. We got quite a lot of artistry tonight, Alex. What are you going to do with all that spare time?
I think, and not just for myself, but I think anybody should really kind of do this, is, we get in the hamster wheel of life and everything starts going around. And I think now you've got an opportunity to pause a little bit and think about what you want to do with the rest of your life. Maybe you don't like what you're working in. Maybe you don't like what you're doing. I think JP's answer is awesome. Like, hey, I'm going to go do so. I think Wayne's answer is awesome. Is maybe for love of the game, reset the mechanism. Just you could stop and think about what you want to do for the rest of your life. And maybe you don't you don't like your job. Maybe you don't like what you're doing. Maybe you want to learn something different. I think it's good advice for anybody. It's just take up another hobby. For me personally, I really want to get in, maybe I need to talk to Wayne about this, or both you guys really, is get into the voiceover business. Getting some mics set up and getting some stuff put together and think, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? That's my true calling. And I think a lot of people have a good opportunity to do that right now. So they need to take advantage of the time and kind of think a little bit. So
it certainly is a lot of time, isn't it? This is the
I don't know,
inspirational.
Alex. There's only room for one fat West Ham supporter in the voiceover world, mate.
well, I'm not as fat as you, so
Oh,
I thought this was going to go down a bit of a moose time for a second then.
Right, Premier League is talking about playing games behind closed doors.
I do that all the time.
Would
Which
you
end?
rather they just cancel the season? Yes or no, and why? Who have we not started? I think we've gone around, have we? Or Alex, start with you.
Oh Jesus, this might deduct me points. I kind of agree with Karen Brady in some ways. You have to bang it at some point. You're gonna have to bang it, and
the season or Karen Brady? What are you talking
You're
about?
banging Karen Brady.
What I was about to ask, John.
He deserves a
Oh, I'm
thumbs up.
sorry.
Like exclusive, everybody.
No, okay. What was the question again?
Would you bang Karen Brady? Was the question.
That was not the question. Would you rather just cancel the season? Use the word cancel; it will help.
Or bang Karen Brady.
Or should they play games behind closed doors? Why?
Definitely not play games behind closed doors. The whole point of playing for the fans and watching on TV is going to be terrible with nobody there. You can't be there in person, so what's the point? You just might as well watch practice, watch a training session. Because I did watch a game recently before all this cascade of things went down, and you could hear the guys talking. You could hear the net pop when it hit. It was terrible. And I think, when you go to a match, you watch a match on TV, the fans are basically like paid extras in a movie set. And if they're not there, what's the point? It'd be like watching Jason on Friday the 13th movies without the music. It's like watching on mute. It would not have the same effect. So what's the point?
John.
I've got to massively disagree with Alex on this one. Reason being is because I was reason being because being a kid watching Sunday football, you're used to 20, 30 people. You're right, it's 100% on in terms of it's weird watching it on telly, because I watched the Wolves Olympiacos game, and it was bizarre, but it took me back to being a kid when you hear all that stuff. So it was. I don't agree with writing it off as Karen Brady was talking about.
I don't agree with that part.
Because it's we're 3/4 of the way through the season. If we were at the start of the season, yeah, fair enough. Like it is with the MLS, well, I think was it from January to October, whenever it is. But but no. So for me, I would rather see football than none. I mean, it's not the best of ideas, but it's either that or watching people play bloody FIFA. So it's one of the two, as far as I'm concerned.
That's already gotten old, to be honest, JP. Wayne.
Yeah, I think I'm actually with JP on this, to be quite frank. That it's so freaking boring right now, not watching anything. And I've watched just about every replay that I can see on YouTube or on NBCSports.com. I've watched all the replays, and I'm jonesing for a live game. I understand it's going to be different. It's going to be different. What I would like to see is the teams and the money people like Sky, whatever, say, let's replay some of the games from the beginning of the season. Let's stream them online free for people so we can see the lead up to where we are right now. Let's see some of the great games. Let's see some of the awful losses. Let's do that. I think it would be very strange watching without the cheer of the crowd. I really do think it'd be strange. I mean, would they take a page out of 1970s sitcom books and put a laugh track or something in and turn it up every time somebody scores a goal? If that's the case, I mean, maybe there's some technology out there where we can actually watch and we can have our microphones on and they can put that on. Or how about, what was the show back? I'm going back a few years ago where you had two fans from opposing teams that were commentating on the matches.
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
Do that.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Let's
get into that. Let's if there was any possible way to create an atmosphere, either at the stadium or for people, watching on TV. How do you think they could create that kind of atmosphere? When you're coming at us with like a fan cam kind of idea, I think
that would be a great idea. I think that come at it with a fan cam. There has to be some technology where you could siphon through everybody's microphone feed or something, and get people together in that way. I mean, I've just recently, just before this show, I put on the 1980 FA Cup final between West Ham and Fulham. And I had a shitload of people in there, and we were all typing in the room, and I'm like thinking, you know what? There has to be another way that. Well, I wish there was of all these screens, maybe I could stick it up on another screen where I can actually see people. But there's no technology where you can throw like 20, 30 people up on a screen and you can have a right laugh. So I mean, like I'm doing online cocktail hours. with mates. So we all meet at a certain time and we drink and we bullshit.
Not bad. Okay.
So it's you have to find ways to make the outside world accessible to you, but still stay safe. And that to me is everything. I am concerned. I will say I am concerned that if players are playing and there's still the virus going on, there's nothing to say that they still can't get infected. So that does concern me.
John, what do you think about atmosphere?
Well, first and foremost, Wayne, it was a 75 cup final because 80 was Arsenal. Fulham was Fulham.
Oh, sorry.
Fulham.
Sorry, yeah, I showed the 80 cup final last week. I got confused for a second there. Yeah.
No, that's right.
So go to westhamswhywedrink.com and see the finals.
But Tim might be able to back me up on this because he's the only person that I know of that has done the stadium tour, so he might be able to back me up on this. But I was reading that when people do the stadium tour, they do a roar of the crowd as you get to do the little walkout round near the pitch. So as wanky as that is, I think that something like that would be good when a goal scored, because it would create something. It would break the ice a little bit more. Other than that, if exactly as Wayne's saying, if there's a way of having something like this here up on the screen, so people, or at least people can like phone in on a free phone number, and each line is put through the speakers, and we have people's roaring as they're watching the game, something like that. But I honestly think that the only way of doing it, as bad as it is having pre-recorded boos and R's and goal celebrations. That's the only way you can do it.
It'd be nice if they had a recording of like when the ref makes a bad call, you could go, see you next Tuesday. And it comes out on full blast on the loudspeakers. Would be lovely.
Or the old school song of Who's the Bastard in the Black. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Alex.
I got two things that could improve if you had to play behind closed doors, what you could do. Number one, VAR is done by the fans.
Oh, yeah, all right. Go on.
Good shout.
I mean, you could text in yes or no. How great would that be?
It's like Pop Idol, American Idol for football.
Yeah, totally. How great would that be? Okay, and the other thing, which I don't think that this would work in the sense of Premier League, because I think just traditions and people not wanting to do this, but I can kind of think back to the first edition of the XFL. A lot of people don't realize a lot of things that they did from a TV standpoint really kind of changed what we see now. Camera angles, the overhead camera, micing up people. I think it would be fascinating to hear players, certain players mic'd up. We could have heard Pellegrini play with his tie for hours. How great would that have been? Like, could have just put a lavalier mic on his tie and just heard it go. So, but I think it would be a very interesting way to evolve the game and get fans to see things that aren't normally seen or heard with certain camera angles and other things that you could do in the booth to make the game more entertaining. Kind of going back to wrestling. I mean, it's the announcers that really make the game. And if they, granted, you want to have the fans, but if they can tell a story while the game is going on, I think that would be any way you can keep the fans more engaged would be great.
I like that, Alex, because, we all watch the Olympics, right? And there's a lot of sports that are drawing maybe 3 people, like swimming or field hockey, There isn't necessarily a big roar in the background of everything that's happening. But if you did mic up some of the players, it could be something different. I can't believe none of you chose the Call of Duty method, which would be get a bunch of people online or with headphones or something and get abused by a bunch of 12-year-olds swearing at you like they do in Call of Duty. With that, Wally, why don't you give us a report out? How's everybody doing?
Oh, we've got a close match here. We've got Wayne with 7, JP with 8, and Alex in the lead, who, in my book, scored a goal by mentioning the Pontiac Silverdome. WrestleMania. I'm originally from right outside the Pontiac Silverdome. Anyway, he's ahead with 10. So
Fix.
there you go. Yeah. Wayne, I wanted to give you a vote for mentioning. I wanted to give you a vote for mentioning the Broad Street Bullies. I love that. But...
Broad Street Bullies.
Every now and again,
right?
All right.
Well, we didn't really have a halftime tonight, Wally. So I brought you in a bit more than halfway through. So we're actually going into our final kind of question of the night. It's a 4-part question, but just reminding everybody in the audience that you can vote on who you think has won. So you can start getting your votes in now, and Wally will begin to tally them. So whoever you think is winning or has won, you can start to vote for them. Just type their name in and stick it in the chat room. Wally will count the votes. Going into the final question of the night. Let me see, as long as my phone opens up. And this is one for the animal lovers. If the following historical players were a breed of dog, what breed would they be and why? And I'll just go player by player, but we'll go around. So I'm going to start with Dean Ashton, and let's start with Wayne, and then JP, and then Alex.
Okay, Dean Ashton. He is a world-renowned show dog. Okay, and about 3 days before the Crufts show, he has to have his third leg amputated.
That's not a breed, Wayne. Where's the breed in that?
He's a terrier.
So he had to have his third leg. So what happened to the fourth leg? Was it there already, or is he down to 2 legs?
In other words, was 1, 2, 3, and 4. So he had to have one of his legs amputated because basically, he would have been incredible and phenomenal, but he got nobbled at the last minute.
I'll give you a thumb for the analogy, but the breed specific part of that was completely lost on you.
I hate dogs. I've got one, and it's massive. It slobbers everywhere.
Oh, for Christ's sakes, JP.
Purely on his hair dye that he's famously known for. It's the perfect shade of a Labrador. So I'm going for Ashton as a Labrador.
I can see that, and he's kind of got that happy face that Labs always have as well.
Yeah.
Does he slobber? That's what I've got.
I don't know, but if you threw a frisbee, you'd see if he went and got it. I don't know.
He'd probably
Alex.
trip on the way.
I'm gonna go German Shepherd. Just majestic, just large, could really get in there and just get after it, but looked like a proper dog.
He did. He did look like a dog among pups. It's a shame what happened to Ashton. Going back a little while here, Ludo McCloskey, what type of dog would he be? Let's start with JP this time.
He is a German Shepherd for me, 100%. I was fortunate to see him a couple of weeks ago for the West Ham Way pre-match event. Lovely bloke. Very, very funny. Spoke with for somebody who isn't very media trained, he had a lot of energy, and he's both in talking and obviously how he played as a goalkeeper as well. So he did. He's an Alsatian for me.
I could see that, Alex.
I had to think about this one. A border collie.
Go on.
Thank you. I've got your attention now, my friend. You know how like a border, like a sheepdog, always, angling the sheep the right way, running here, running there. Always had the angles ready to go. Like and granted, you're in a position to make a great save. It's like Ozzie Smith when you're a kid. My dad's like, oh, look how athletic he is. He was half the position. He was in position to make that amazing save. Most guys wouldn't even been there. You got to be in a position to make an amazing save. So I think he had a great way of angling people off and, working it that way.
Wayne, you'll remember Ludo well. What type of dog is he?
I would say because he's Russian, but he's not a Russian breed. I would say, due to the prowess of the particular breed, an Afghan hound, because Afghan hounds are known to be able to jump about 7 to 8 feet in the air. They are very graceful. They can jump up very, very bloody high. They do really good. So I would say Afghan hound, nothing to do with color of hair or anything of that nature, but just through sheer skill, skill, and incredible. Unbelievable.
Wait, he was Czech, right?
Yeah.
No.
And you're doing a Russian accent. Afghan. Okay, cool. Okay.
London is closer to Moscow than where he was born in the Czech Republic, mate, remember?
Most definitely.
Wayne is getting a thumbs up just for mentioning a breed this round.
That's a makeup call.
Bulldogs,
improvement.
Kitty cats.
All right, Matty Etherington. Who have I not started with? Wayne. I haven't started with you, have I? Or is it
He's
Alex?
a cat.
Alex?
No, it's Alex.
Oh, I thought you said me.
Golden retriever. Just not flashy. Just kind of does what he's got to do. Utility player kind of. If you want him to go get a beer, he can. If you want him to lay on the couch, he can. He can do whatever. He just it's good with kids. I'm just making shit up at this point.
Go ahead, Wayne.
He's a cat. He's not a dog. He's a cat. He's a
that
cat because he's like he's all over the bloody show. It's like you can't tell where he's going next, and that's what I loved about Maddie. Is he was just like he was all over the show. Great energy, phenomenal player. So in that case, he's a cat for me. He's not a dog. He's not stupid either. He's a smart player, and cats are smart.
They are, and they also have gambling problems. JP.
Yeah.
For exactly the same reasons that Wayne's said, for me, he is a terrier, because terriers are that to exactly the same thing. Boundless amounts of energy. You never know what they're going to do next. Intelligence bit, all right, maybe not, but for me, he's a terrier.
I can see that. It's a good one. And then finally, a crowd favorite, Julian Dix. Let's start with JP.
There's only one answer to this. He's a bulldog.
Oh, go on.
Alex will like it as well, for the British Bulldog wrestler as well, for that matter. But he is. He was a player and a breed of animal that just doesn't take any shit from anybody, quite frankly. And that was the Terminator down to the ground. Lovable, but you don't want to cross him, and that's exactly what Bulldogs are.
Yes, they are. As a proud owner of one, they're also a complete friggin' nightmare and neurotic. Wayne.
I would have said a bulldog, but JP's already said it, so I'm going to have to say a Staffordshire Bull Terrier for pretty much the same reasons. But I think they're a little bit more athletic than a bulldog. I'd say Dixie is just a little bit more athletic than that. And they just, to be able to yank down a cow, that's what they were bred for, right? For yanking down cows by those rings in the nose. And I've seen him yank down many a cow.
I'll give you like a thumb tip for that, Wayne. Can I just a tip? Because, Dixie also drank a Coke before starting games and refused to do running in training. So that sounds more bulldog-like
to me.
Alex.
Obviously we're in that same genre, but I think a pit bull. I think just as much as it is ferocious, I think its reputation is probably far worse than, or just as bad as, the actual person. They can be sweet animals if they are actually, put in the right environment. But with those square jaws, he could probably lock down on you and not let go.
Let me bring Wally back in. Wally, seems like the chat room's been having a good time. But before you get to the final scores, what dog do you think any one of these guys would be? Ashton or Dixie? What would you pick?
Oh, I'm thinking Ashton would be like the big, like bull mastiff dog, that just goes in full bore. Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Wally, since
he had a great thing closely, on.
I'm going to jump in here, John. Since Wally works so closely with you, Wally, what would you say that John is if he's a breeder dog?
Well, I believe he's one of those poodles with the fluffy hair and the
see that coming a mile off. Yeah.
Right.
Well, West Ham, because there's been a real lack of news lately, they did a thing with Ashton and his two sons watching back
that was
some
cool.
of Dean's goals. It was kind of nice. If you haven't seen that, check it out. Looks like the chat room is busy. Wally, why don't you go through the scores and let us know who won the game? The chat room
well, we had, according to Tim, the chat room vote goes to Alex. So he's got +2. We've got Wayne on 11 plus a tip. So I don't know if that's 12 or 11, but
I was
once you get the tip in, it's already there.
Okay, we'll count the tip then. It's 12, and JP at 12, and Alex has 14 plus 2, which equals 16. So he's the winner.
Man, well done, Alex. Guys,
could that be a record? Could that be a Friday Night Lights record?
I don't know. Maybe
up against much poor competition, Alex. Don't
just feeling more generous on a Sunday, guys. I'll see you back in the green room. Let me clear it for Alex, who gets to address the West Ham Nation. Alex, what do you have to say to West Ham fans all around the world at this time, especially in the terrible coronavirus situation that we're in and the lack of football? The floor is yours.
we'll get through this. Listen to your people, what your governments and what people are telling you to do. Stay inside. Don't wash your hands. And we'll come back. The sun will come out tomorrow. And go to American Hammers TV. Watch American Hammers TV and go to American Hammers Network, AmericanHammers.net, and go buy some stuff. Merchandise still on sale.
Nicely done.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. This is Friday Night Lights Sunday edition. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button there. Please forward to all your West Ham friends. We're trying to have a laugh, especially during what feels like the off season, even though it's just some kind of temporary delay. So with that, we'll see you all next week. These Alex advances to the next round. We're in the Tournament of Champions at the minute, so make sure you come back and check out Friday Night Lights next time. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining us today. We'll catch you all later. We have another show on the network tonight at 9 p.m. East Coast time. So in the UK, I think they're only 4 hours ahead at the minute, right? So that'll be
Oh, yeah,
1 in the morning instead of 2, and for everybody out west, 1 or 2 hours behind us. So join us again tonight at 9, and come on, you Irons.
Do it. Irons.